You know, there are some books that you read, and then there are books that seem to, well, they seem to read you. Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist is definitely one of those. It's this global phenomenon that just has this crazy habit of finding people right when they're feeling a little lost, right when they need its message the most. So let's dive in and really decode this thing.
The reason this book hits so hard, I think, is because it grabs you by the shoulders and looks right at that one universal question we all wrestle with. Am I doing the right thing with my life? Am I on the right path? It's way more than just a story about a shepherd and some pyramids. It's a roadmap for answering that question for yourself.
And I mean, the proof is right here. Over 65 million copies sold. That's a Guinness World Record for the most translated book by a living author. So you have to ask, why? What is it about this little story that has so completely captured the world?
Okay, so it all kicks off with our hero, Santiago. He's a young shepherd in Spain, and honestly, life's pretty good. He's got his sheep, he's got his freedom, but he keeps having this dream over and over again. A dream about a treasure hidden at the Egyptian pyramids. And that dream, that's his call to adventure.
So he runs into this mysterious old king who introduces him to the idea that's at the heart of the entire book, the personal legend. Your personal legend, it's basically your destiny. It's that thing you've always dreamed of doing. The book says we all know what it is when we're kids, but then, life happens and we start believing it's impossible.
And that leads to what the book calls the world's greatest lie. It's this belief that we're just passengers, that fate takes the wheel and we lose control. Sound familiar? It's that little voice that says, oh, I can't start a business, I have a mortgage, or I'm too old to go back to school. The book just calls that out for what it is, a lie we tell ourselves.
But the flip side to that lie is this incredibly powerful idea. The universe isn't some random, chaotic thing. It's actually on your side. It wants you to achieve your personal legend. And hearing that, man, that gives Santiago the guts to make a huge choice. He sells his entire flock of sheep and gets on a boat to Africa.
Of course, the second he starts his journey, everything goes wrong. He gets robbed, left with absolutely nothing in a strange city. He's forced to get a job in a crystal shop, and that's where he learns about a weird kind of fear, one we don't really talk about, the fear of actually succeeding.
Yeah, the crystal merchant, this character is so fascinating because he's a walking cautionary tale. His personal legend, his one big dream, is to travel to Mecca. And here's the thing, he has the money, he has the time, but he never, ever goes. So the question is, why not?
And there it is. The merchant explains it himself. He's actually afraid of what would happen if he achieved his dream. The dream itself is what keeps him going. It gives him purpose. He'd rather live with the comfort of the dream than face the emptiness of what comes after. Wow.
So you see this perfect split, right? The crystal merchant stays put, content with just dreaming. But Santiago, after working at the shop and becoming pretty successful himself, he sees this and makes the exact opposite choice. He takes his earnings and plunges right back into the unknown.
And the lesson here is just so critical. Look, Santiago could have gone home a rich man. He could have bought twice as many sheep. By any normal standard, he had already made it. But he understood that this comfortable success, it was just a pit stop. It wasn't the destination.
Okay, so Santiago leaves the city and joins this big caravan heading across the Sahara Desert. And this is where the story gets a little more mystical. It's where he has to learn to stop trying to control everything and just trust the journey itself.
He keeps hearing this word, maktub. Now, it means it is written, but it's not about being a passive victim of fate. No, no. The way the book uses it, it means that if you're chasing your personal legend, everything that happens, the good, the bad, the delays, it's all part of the plan. It's all written to help you get there. You just have to trust it.
So how does he trust it? Well, he learns to read what the book calls the language of the world. This is basically learning to pay attention to the omens, to your own intuition, to those gut feelings. You know those coincidences that feel like a little too much of a coincidence? Yeah, that's the universe talking to you.
And out there in the desert, he falls in love with a woman named Fatima. He's so tempted to just give up the whole quest and stay with her. But she teaches him maybe the most important lesson of all. True love will never, ever get in the way of your destiny. If it's real, it will push you toward it.
So after learning all these lessons, Santiago is finally ready. He's ready to meet the master, the guy the book is named after, the alchemist. This dude can supposedly turn lead into gold. But the real secret of alchemy, it's not at all what you'd think.
See, the alchemist shows him that real alchemy was never about metal. It's a metaphor for you, for me, for personal transformation. The journey, with all the hardship and the heartbreak and the challenges, that's the fire. And it's burning away all your fear and doubt, turning the lead of who you were into the gold of who you're becoming.
And here we go, the big twist. So Santiago finally makes it. He gets to the Egyptian pyramids, he starts digging right where the dream showed him, and there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. And to make things worse, he gets beaten and robbed again.
But as he's lying there, one of the thieves starts laughing at him. He says, "You idiot! I had a dream just like that, about a treasure buried in a ruined church in Spain, but I'm not stupid enough to cross a whole desert for a dream."
And Santiago's world just stops. He knows that church. It's the exact same church where he started his journey. The treasure was back home the entire time. Which forces us to ask the big question. Was this whole thing just a massive, pointless detour?
No, absolutely not. And this is the soul of the entire book. The physical treasure, that was just the bait. The real treasure was the journey itself. It was the transformation he had to go through to become the person who was worthy of finding it.
Just think about it for a second. If he'd never left, yeah, he'd be sitting on a pile of gold, but he'd still be just a shepherd, totally unaware of his own potential. He had to cross the world, learn the language of the world, fall in love. He left a shepherd, but he came back an alchemist.
When you boil it all down, the magic of The Alchemist is that it gives you permission. We live in a world that is constantly screaming at us to be realistic, to play it safe, to manage our expectations. This book quietly whispers in your ear, no, be legendary instead.
It reminds you that the fear of failure is almost always worse than failure itself. So if you're on the fence about something right now, about making a big leap, maybe listening to this, maybe thinking about this story, maybe this is the omen you've been looking for. What if it is?